What's happening, financial coaches? It's Pete here. I want to talk to you today about podcasting and why you should podcast, but on video. So, I want to talk about the popularity of podcasting. I love podcasts. I subscribe to a number of them when I'm working out in the yard or have a long drive or commute or whatever it might be. I love listening to them. It's a lot easier sometimes than turning on the TV. I can turn on a podcast while I'm working and listen to something while I'm doing some other work. So obviously, I'm a big fan of podcasts, right? Now, I don't have a podcast for this channel, but I have been asked a lot about podcasts. Now, I do some podcasting for another channel. I also have been a guest on a number of podcasts, which is really awesome. I will maybe put a link to some of the other podcasts that I've been on talking about finance because they're a lot of fun and you get to meet people and you get to reach an audience that you otherwise probably wouldn't meet. And so they are a great way of reaching out. Now, knowing some people who have been in the podcasting world for a while, I will tell you, sorry, I'm trying to keep the alerts down to a minimum, that it's kind of a tougher racket, to get the visibility that you can get on video. So I want to compare it a little bit to YouTube, to podcasting. Now, the issue to me is that there's a little bit of a chicken and the egg issue here, right? Because to me, you can discover podcasts, but you usually will discover them from somewhere. For me, it's usually someone recommending it. Maybe it's another podcast that I listen to recommends another podcast because they're similar. I can get similar things on there. But podcasts are not something that I will usually go into a podcast search engine and regularly try to find something on personal finance or financial coaching or whatever it might be. I just don't search that much for podcasts because I have the podcasts that I like and I'm always behind on them. So there's always plenty of content for me to consume on those. Now, a lot of people want to get out there and they think the heavens will open, the doors will fling open, and lots of people will subscribe. And the reality is a lot of podcasts, I've seen a lot of podcasts last for a few months. And then when no one gets any subscribers, when no one clicks that subscribe button, when they get no views, they get no downloads, they give it up. And some of these people put some effort into them, with theme songs and intros and, getting guests, right? Because a lot of people want to be guests on podcasts. I like being a guest on it. They're fun. So if you think that podcasting is going to be a good marketing source for you, what I would say is that go for the chicken, not the egg. Or go for the egg, not the chicken. All I'm saying is that there usually is one that starts the other. And to me, I think you should podcast. You should go long form. Feel free to talk about your thoughts on the current winds of personal finance or personal finance topics of the day or news on personal finance or whatever it might be, or financial coaching or, financial tips, strategies, money hacks, whatever it might be. And feel free to do long form content on that and do it like I'm doing here on video. And then feel free to take out that audio track and push it to your podcast platform. But I would also push this to YouTube because YouTube to me is a better search engine than pretty much anything out there. Maybe only second to Google, but maybe even surpassing Google. Now, I know that they're the same company and there's a lot of intermingling of search results on those. But basically what I'm saying here is that if you create an episode called My 5 Favorite Money Hacks for My Home or whatever it might be, then I would record that. That might be 30 minutes, do a video of it, put it on YouTube. But I'm guessing it's going to be easier to discover and get more views and maybe more subs to your channel as a long form talking head video than it will in the podcast format. And as you gain viewers and subscribers to your YouTube channel, you can keep pushing them to your podcast. You can put that in the description. You can say that in your video, whatever you want. But if I discover you on YouTube, I am more likely to subscribe to your podcast. There's a guy, a golfer on YouTube, Rick Shields. I've followed his channel for many years. I didn't even realize he had a podcast until he kept bringing it up in videos. And then I did subscribe to his podcast. But I would never have discovered his podcast if I didn't subscribe to his YouTube channel first, right? And get to know him there and kind of find out what he's like. Now, he has 1 million or 2 million subscribers to his YouTube channel, and I think 300,000 or 400,000 subscribers to his podcast. So obviously both are very successful. But what you can see here is that YouTube provides a lot more subscribers and traffic than the podcast. Now, obviously, a podcast at that level can be very successful financially. But what I think is that, if my guess is that if you were to ask him, the YouTube channel drives the traffic to podcasts not the other way around. And so just putting something out there as a podcast might get found, might get some subscribers. People might stumble on it. It might get shared in the right spot. I'm not saying that just doing a podcast and not doing a YouTube channel is the wrong way to go if you want to do it. But I think you are better off putting your content in video format like this, but obviously the audio track for podcasts simultaneously. Do them in parallel and let whatever one is going to be the discoverability engine for you kind of help drive the traffic to the other, right? And you might find it's exactly opposite. You might find that people go to the podcast and just want to see you, see what you look like, and go to your YouTube channel. But I bet it'll be the other way around. I bet more people will stumble upon you in YouTube and subscribe to your podcast that way. So should you podcast? Do you podcast? But should you podcast? Yes, I think so. Feel free. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear those ramblings and the rants and the celebrations and the tips and all of that. But feel free to just throw that up on YouTube, just like on here. No production value, just hitting that big red button that says record and stop. So that's all it is. And then, push it out to all those platforms. That the content that you generate can be distributed through many, many platforms, and podcasts and video are just two of them. There are many more. So hopefully that helps. But if you are thinking about podcasting, you want to do podcasting, do it. I would just start on YouTube. I'll see you later.